Hello everyone, my name is Christy Polson, and today I am going to go through and explain CSS layouts and design properties. What are CSS layouts? As the name might suggest, it is how your site pages are displayed or laid out using cascading style sheets. Here on this slide, I have three different layouts of the same website based on which device is being used. Each layout is vastly different from the next, each needing their own unique, separate layout. This is another example of a layout, and probably one of the most commonly used that I have personally seen, which leads me into this next slide. On this website, we can clearly find the header at the top of the page, right here. On the side, on this left side, we have the menu. In the center, we have the focal point, or main content. On the right side, we have the right ad placement. And lastly, the footer at the very bottom, also used on this side as ads. When you are creating a website, what are some things to think about to choose a layout? The first step you should take into consideration is your site's purpose. Is your site used to promote or market a product? Are you offering some form of service? Regardless of the purpose, this will help guide you as you work to create the layout. When you have defined your purpose, you can then decide what elements you would like to include. Some of these may involve the focal point and main content, menu options and/or buttons, subscriptions, and transactions. Consider where your audience may access your site the most. Might it be the desktop, phone, maybe even a tablet? Lastly, and this is just my own personal experience with creating basic layouts, is to create a physical draft of each layout before you begin coding. This will give you an idea of what you are looking for before you get too ahead of yourself. CSS display properties. The display property is used to determine if an element should be considered an inline block, or inline. Blocks. Anything that starts a new line of code is considered to be a block element and fills the width of your page. Some of these elements include paragraphs, H1, body, style, HTML, div tags, UL, nav, and headers. Before I continue, I would like to briefly mention box models so we can get a better grasp of inlines and inline blocks. Box models are key elements in CSS layouts and are broken down to 4 different parts. The first, content. This is where your text and images reside. Padding provides space between your content and the border and is invisible. The border surrounds the content and padding and is often decorated, but can also be transparent. Lastly, the margins, like padding, are transparent and provide spacing between the borders and the edges of your page, or other boxes. I won't be diving into too much detail with what you can do with box models, as it's pretty much unlimited. However, let us look at a very basic code right over here. This code is very similar to what inlines and inline blocks look like, which we will explore momentarily. First of all, if we refer back to our diagram here, the first thing we'll be looking at is content, which is found in our paragraph tab, or tag. It is used in the width element right here, which can be seen in the middle of our example. Next is padding, which is the white area around our content. Next, our border, and then our margin on the outside of our border. Notice that when we are coding in CSS, in this specific example, we're using style tags. I would also like to mention that when you are calling specific properties in HTML to be styled in CSS, be careful with how you group elements, as you can accidentally style aspects of your page that you might not want. For example, if you had multiple paragraph tags, like here, your P under the style tag would automatically update and change all your other P tags. While inline CSS can affect groups of text and images, it can be used on a much more specific scale. With inline, you can alter the size, color, and fonts of specific words and sentences that box models might not be able to. In this code, we can see how inline CSS is working inside the paragraph tag instead of underneath a style tag. Note that, depending on the method used to change the color of the sentence, the syntax for the colors will change as well. Inline blocks are like inlines, but the width and height dimensions can be altered, whereas inlines can only have their widths changed. Because of this, inline blocks can look much more boxy and better frame the content. As we inspect the code, it looks very similar to the code we created for the inlines and box models. The CSS is the same. All that has been altered is the height. When creating the layout for your website pages, it is important to understand the differences between each of these display properties. Everyone has unique qualities that aid in the creation of pages. Now, I have given a bit of background and explanations of processing of creating layouts and just different style properties or display properties as well. Now, I want to take a quick look at an example we can go in and edit. First, we see on our HTML side the use of blocks. So we have our div, and we have our h3, our paragraph. We have some buttons up here. All this is going to give us something to do with our CSS over on this page. Now, if we're looking at our CSS portion, we have lots of different things going on. Lots and lots of different things. However, right now, we are just going to focus on our box models, our inline, and our inline blocks. So to begin, I want to direct your attention down here. We are going to be editing this portion and this portion in particular. So this is just a very basic page that I have created for a potential blog. So right here I have my box model commented out. So we're going to quickly edit this. We'll come back to that. It's not quite working, but we'll comment this out real quick, and we'll come down to down here. Okay. There we go. So here is our box model. It's very square. We can change the There we go. That's what I was looking for. Alright. So right now we have our box model. We can see it's square or rectangular, excuse me. And inside we have our subject, our whatever we're trying to put in a box. This is very much what it's like. It's very simple. It's basic. But in web design, it really gets the job done. Okay. For the sake of hurrying this along, we're just going to delete this. Look at the next one right here. This is our inline block. As we can see, it's square. Very nice if you want to frame pictures. you can have these lined up, have multiple lined up. We can change the background color if we wanted to. I'm not going to do that right now, but that's also an option. Ultimately, though, it looks very simple, but it's very helpful. You can really format your website in a nice, elegant way with all these seemingly basic concepts. I want to thank everyone for watching and taking the time. I hope you've learned something from this, and it was a very fun, interesting project to work on, so thank you.